You're listening to the Kilcullen Diary podcasts, stories in sound from a village grown bigger. Hello, I'm Brian Byrne and this is Kilcullen Diary. This episode, Porter for the Workhouse, is in my In Those Days series. Over the years, I've covered quite a few local authority meetings with deliberations on a wide variety of issues. But I never came across a discussion on what to do with a consignment of porter. That was a conundrum which took up some time at the weekly meeting of Guardians of the Athy Union, as reported in the Kildare Observer of the 29th of December 1883. The Athy Workhouse master told the meeting that he had received a lot of porter during the previous week from Castledermot, and he did not know what to do with it. When M.J. Kavanagh asked if it was for the use of the guardians or the inmates, the master said he didn't know and confirmed that he hadn't received any directions as to the distribution of the beverage. It transpired that the union's clerk had met with his Castledermot Petty Sessions counterpart the previous week and discovered that the magistrate's court had confiscated the porter from a woman who had been operating an illegal shebeen. The magistrates had made it over for the use of the Athy Infirmary, which was part of the workhouse complex. The woman in question was described as a poor widow, and it seems from the tone of the report that the guardians had some sympathy for her, though that didn't last as the prospect of free booze became more clear. I think we would be paying the magistrates a bad compliment if we gave her back the porter, J.W. Dunn said, noting also that to do so would be encouraging illegitimate traffic. The master said the porter was first class, to which M.J. Kavanagh replied that if the porter was fit for us to use it. As to giving it back, I think it would be in very bad taste, he added. It's not clear from the report if he intended that as a pun, and anyway, J.W. Dunn commented that to send it back would be a regular farce. The master was then directed to use the porter. Whether for the guardians or the inmates was not specified. Another beverage entirely, milk, was also discussed at the same meeting. In particular, milk supplied to the workhouse. In a series of letters read out, it seems that one of the guardians who was not present had written directly to the local government board in Dublin, asking them to instruct the Athy Union to re-advertise a tender for the milk supply. Major J.R. Keogh had suggested that the tender recently accepted had been in contravention of a relevant regulation. The letters made clear that the local government board did not agree with his complaint, but the meeting expressed a level of disappointment that Major Keogh had taken the course he had rather than write to his fellow guardians about his concerns, with suitable notice. J.W. Dunn said the Major was acting in a ridiculous manner. Robert MacDonald felt it was all wrong and that if Mr. Keogh does not choose to attend the meetings, then he should not find fault with those who do. Timothy Fennan suggested that the letter be marked red, and after a final comment from M.J. Kavanagh that it was a great pity the Board of Guardians could not determine their own business in a common-sense, practical way, the matter was dropped. Other business of the meeting included an up-to-date statement of affairs at the institution, which had 312 indoor paupers chargeable to the union, of whom 220 were described as healthy, 84 were in the infirmary, and there were 8 in the nearby fever hospital. The average weekly cost of looking after them was 4 shillings and 2 pence per person. The master noted that among 2 who had died during the week was a pauper named Foley, who had left behind £3 14 shillings and 1 penny, and he wondered if the cost of his maintenance should be deducted from this. Mr. Foley had been an inmate in the house for 2 months, the meeting heard, The board instructed that the cost should indeed be reimbursed to the workhouse. There was no note of how the remaining 40 shillings and 7 pence of Mr. Foley's money would be dispersed, but we can hope that there was some needy relative waiting on the outside for their share of his estate. Maybe the same relative might even have been given a few bottles of the Union's porter windfall, to which presumably the late Mr. Foley would have been entitled as an inmate of the infirmary had he lived a little longer. I'm Brian Byrne. This is Kilcullen Diary. Thank you for listening.